What's up, guys? So, after doing Michael's exhaust, I really wanted to see how close the Aristo is to being the actual four-door Supra. Now, we know the front suspension's different and the front subframe's different, but it's got the same engine, same transmission, same entire rear end, same entire rear subframe, suspension, all of that is the same. Everything pretty much crosses over minus hard suspension parts in the front. But let's see if the downpipe slash mid pipe off of Michael's Supra just bolts on to the Aristo. So this right here is the downpipe. Stock twins, down, around the trans, back to the cat back. It's been modified a little bit. I think that was because this was probably meant for a 6-speed, and his car was originally an automatic that this was on. So, auto, made for an auto. The only thing that I'm concerned about is that the flange up here might be a little bit different, and if that's the case, we'll chop the one off of the car, but let's get the old stuff off and see if that just slaps up in there.
Many hours later.
Alright, guys. Well, I can tell you a definitive no. USDM Supra parts do not fit on the Aristo. I didn't even think about it, but the right-hand drive stuff would definitely get in the way. And the JDM Twins outlet is smaller. So on the actual flange, the bolt pattern is actually larger on the USDM one, which would make sense since the turbos are larger for the US spec cars. So, in the process of just trying to figure that out, I turned the camera off because I was starting to get very frustrated because I had one nut break and then another nut just completely stripped to where it was like loose and I couldn't get it back tight. So I was kind of dead in the water, and then on top of that, the catalytic converter has an EGT monitor so that if you're beating on this car too much, a light will come on in the dash because the catalytic converter's overheated and you couldn't melt it. Well, the bolts broke out of that, so then I couldn't get that tight again. So what ended up having to happen is I had to cut the primary cat out and replace it with a pipe. Now, the secondary cat is still there. And honestly, this front pipe is going to stay this way until this car has a single turbo. I'm not dealing with this. I had to take the rack loose. I had to take some of the subframe bolts out. It was way more than I had anticipated. Probably one of the reasons that one of the bolts or the nuts stripped was because I couldn't quite get a good straight shot on it, but all like the other two bolts came right off with a breaker bar. So I'm going to show you guys real quick. Basically the end product, it's back together. It looks basically stock minus one thing. So I'm going to let you guys see a few things real quick. So first of all, this is the nut that stripped, and the only thing that saved me was these guys. So these are like nut extractors. They're like, they call them turbo bits. But here's an Irwin set. So if you guys need them, get some. If you don't have these, get some. You can get them wherever. Get either Irwin or a good company. So basically what happened, here's the original primary cat. You guys can see the bolts broke off. That's where that little EGT went. So I had to take this loose, and I was planning to replace this whole pipe, right? Well, those nuts up in there stripped. And I had to take all of this stuff loose to even get to them. And you guys can see this thing's got a pretty significant oil leak. I figured out where that is. It's definitely the oil cooler housing. So I'm going to have to address that. This thing is doing its little leaky water trick right now. But one thing that I thought was really cool, check this out. That is spelled with a D, Toyota. So if you guys didn't know this, Mr. Toyota is not with a T. It was Toyota with a D. So a lot of these older generation Toyotas, you'll actually see little bits that are stamped with Toyota instead of Toyota. So I'm not really sure why they changed it. I don't know if it was just the way that it's said or what, but if you know, let me know in the comments, because I'd really love to know why they actually changed from his actual name with Toyota instead of and going to Toyota. So let me know. I'm going to let this thing down. We'll start it up. We'll see if it sounds any different. I really doubt it because it still has a converter in it and all those mufflers. So I'm going to let it down. We'll start it up. We'll see what it sounds like. Alright guys, so that's going to be it. The car is definitely a little bit louder. I don't know if it's going to drive any different. Honestly, at this point, as long as this took for such a silly thing, I don't care. I'm just glad it's back together. I can go home now. It was kind of nice having a little bit of alone time, but honestly, I should have expected for something silly like this to happen where things, you know, just don't work the way that you think they are. But, you know, that is modifying cars. I'm sure this is going to happen a lot more. Hopefully I can do a little bit better planning. This was kind of a, you know, hey, I'm going to do something quick, but it turned into like 2.5 hours of a mess. So, thanks again for watching. I hope you're enjoying the Aristo content, and yeah, so, I'll see you guys soon. Bye.